Good evening, gladiators in suits. We're about to go live. I'm early tonight because I'm really tired, but I want to go online because I haven't been online for quite a while, for I think 3 days. But I think I'm going to be sleeping at 10 or 11 tonight. So, welcome everyone to our career talks, our I can't say daily because I haven't been going online daily for the past 3 days. Tonight's topic is going to be exciting. It's going to be about working with people you don't get along with. So, how do you manage relationships when you're forced to work with them, but you just don't jive with them? You don't have similarities. The way they talk, the way they do things irritate you, but you know that your career perhaps is dependent on how you collaborate with them. So, we're going to talk about these things in tonight's session. Okay? I'm looking at the chat box. Thank you for folks who are going online. 𝗧cie𝗱𝘆 from LinkedIn says, I love the topic. I love it too. I am happy, however, that I don't have that problem right now. I did before when I was in the corporate world. I don't have that issue even with my employees. I do love my team. I think they're a great bunch. Sometimes there are things to work on, but I love my team. I think I have an awesome team. Okay. Lex Lean also says good evening from LinkedIn. Joshua also says hello from LinkedIn. Trying to check now our participants also on TikTok. And you might see now that Tanjiro is trying to grab my Tanji. Wait, I'm gonna show you online, don't worry. There you go. Oh, come on, let's go. You wanna be seen on the screen. Let's pick you up. Okay. Hi everyone. This is Tanjiro, by the way, and you are going to see him on Saturday if you're going to be joining our session. So that's our workshop. Everything will be all right on June 24, and he wants to get off now. And that's our motivational talk at the SMX Convention Center. Please take note, we're going to be giving away tickets for tonight for those who are going to be answering our trivia question. Okay. You guys are ready? Can we get this done? So the rules of our discussion is simple. Try to ask as many questions as you can about our topic, but you can still ask questions that are not related to it as long as it's about your careers. So you can still ask questions about quitting your job, managing conflicts with your boss, for example, switching careers to a different lane. It could also be about, if I can, as long as it's not something involving legal expertise, we can talk about your contracts, for example. I am working on it. I am already able to find someone who can be with me on the live session. And this guy's a good friend who happens to be a lawyer. So I will schedule one of these days a night wherein all of your legal issues about your careers, we're going to talk about it. Okay, so please stay tuned. Please wait for that. Please be patient for a bit. I'm trying to secure a schedule, and also I need to prep this lawyer because I already have an idea what questions you guys are going to ask, and I want to make sure that he will be able to answer your questions with good impact. Okay. Okay. Carlota Calma. We have a lot of folks on LinkedIn tonight, by the way, so I'm happy with that. Richard, also from LinkedIn, is saying hello, watching from Cabuyao in Laguna. PJ Bolinado already jumped in with a question, so let's answer this. Do you think it's a personal issue if you cannot go along well with others? It depends. I don't think it's always an issue of the person themselves. I think it could be an issue of there are going to be bullies in the workplace. Remember, bullies don't just stay in schools. Some of them graduate and end up being in the corporate world. So it's not always going to be your issue all the time. You can just simply be unfortunate and unlucky to be working in a company wherein the people are just toxic and the people just can't get on spreading powers with others. Okay. Nathan Malaluan from Facebook is also watching from Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. Malu Lopez on Facebook also says hello. Thank you for joining us. Maureen is watching from Rizal. Thank you for joining us as well. Paige is watching from Binyan. Okay, keep it simple. NJ from TikTok says, how do you deal with those who make you feel that they are superior? They think that they are brainier than you and they have much self-regard. My classic answer is that number one, I think you will always gain a level of immunity if you perform well in your job. And that means if you are extremely excellent in getting your reports done, achieving your sales targets, people will end up respecting you to the point that the ones who like you are going to be serving as your allies, thereby protecting you also from those bullies, even those who are thinking that they are brainier. I've had this experience before. I'm lucky that I didn't get as many bad situations like this. But in my first company, I remember that I had this one colleague who just happens to be 1 year older. And I hated this person. Okay. I hated this person so much because she's only 1 year old. And yet she would always assign certain tasks to me that our boss, when I say our, we both reported to the same person. It's just that she's 1 year older. I didn't know that when she was delegating tasks to me, I thought that those were tasks that were given by our boss. Apparently, those were tasks that she had to do on her own. And she was using me so she can get her job done quickly. I hated that. Well, just to cut the long story short, I confronted this person. And by the way, you know what was the best deal about this person? I got promoted faster than this person did. I got promoted 2 years later. She only got promoted, I think. Did she even get promoted? I'm not quite sure. Not that it matters, right? But these are people that you have to confront, because if you do not confront these people at some point, they will always think that it's okay to do this to others. Okay? It only emboldens them to do the same thing to other people. Here's one more. Okay, this is another question on YouTube. How do you work? Okay, Jonathan, I already answered this question, but let me answer it again because I think it's relevant for some people. John, I am a manager, but my direct reports happen to be older than I am. And I feel that they are insecure because I happen to be younger, but they report to me. Any tips on how I can win their side? Well, number one, I always say this: do not make yourself be perceived as a competitor. Announce that you are their ally. So I would do a one-to-one, heart-to-heart talk with them and tell them, I am not here to compete against you because I also believe in you. I'm here to also help you get through that promotion because I think you do have potential. Okay? The more that they realize that you're on their side, the more that they will lower their guards. That's one. Number two, I think there is nothing that will protect you any better but mastery of your craft. It's hard to antagonize someone who is just so extremely good in what they do, such that even if they are older, but they happen to find out that this person is just so damn good, it's going to shut them up. So if they send 5 emails, send 6. If they go to the office at 10 o'clock in the morning, go there by 8 or 7, right? There is nothing that will shut them down but just the thought of, wow, she just delivers. He's performing well. And that's the reason why this person deserves to become my boss. Right? I'm also going to backtrack. Most of the time, if you happen to be a younger manager and your people are older than you, it is the responsibility of your boss who is about to promote you to set you up for success. Meaning, 6 months or 1 year down the line, they must already be installing flashes of brilliance. They must be assigning you leadership positions, OIC positions, so that in the eyes of the other direct reports who happen to be older than you, they will realize that this guy is doing so well. So I will not be surprised that come the time they get promoted, they deserve it. So my theory is that perhaps your manager did not properly set you up for success. My dog, by the way, is Tanji. What are you doing? Your manager did not properly set you up for success. Probably your manager, out of the blue, you really are extremely good, but your visibility was sidelined. Okay? This is the theatrical part of promotion. When you promote someone, you have to expose them to as many managers and as many people. You don't want to surprise people that suddenly this person is promoted. You have to tell them implicitly, she's doing so well. Look at her perform. Look at her present her PowerPoint slides. Look at her submit her reports. Those pockets of brilliance are installations of proof that you are worth it. Okay? All right, let's answer a question from Anna Cosejo is asking this. How do you deal with a non-performing team member, aka perhaps a lazy or a disengaged? By the way, I want to classify. Someone who is not performing is not always lazy all the time. They probably are disengaged, meaning they are extremely good in what they do, but they don't like their jobs. Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate with that? These are people wherein they were promised something in their career. They wanted to get this project, but they didn't get it. And so, out of not wanting what they got, they're just giving their bare minimum. Just enough for them not to be fired, but not too much because they don't think the company deserves that effort from them. So, Anna's question now is, how do you deal with a non performing team member who does not acknowledge that he or she is not able to perform his or her job well? I don't know why this person is not acknowledging it, because the easiest way is to show the metrics. If your sales target is 100% every month and you're only meeting 60 to 70%, that's a glaring acknowledgement that you haven't been performing. Sometimes the best way for the person to realize that they're not performing is to announce to them the consequences. So for example, if I have an employee who's new in the company and does not acknowledge that they're not doing well, by the third or fourth month, I am going to tell them on the sixth month, it's going to be your regularization period. And right now, I am not convinced that you have to graduate from being a probationary to being a regularized employee. Sometimes those things can be a shock and awe methodology to make them realize that, hey, if you think you're so good, you're not. Okay? Another thing that I would do, I've done this to some of my employees and some of my interns before. If they think that they're so good in what they do, I make them present in a meeting. So I do a meeting, I make them craft the slides, I make them present and explain the topic to the participants, and sometimes the participants are the high-level managers. I want them to feel the pain that if they cannot properly explain the concept to their teammates, they're not as good as they think they are. But I'm there to support them. I'm not going to let them drown. I'm going to let them swim a bit on their own. But sometimes they need to feel that level of pain, because if they do not believe in my own words, then sometimes they have to feel the sting from their teammates or from other managers. Can I get another exclamation mark if you have experienced that? I've experienced that with some of my bosses. Someone did that to me and I didn't like it, but I did learn a lot, because it was that opportunity to realize I thought I was this good. Apparently, you can still be this good and this good and this good. Okay. Let's ask a question now from TikTok. Joseph Drain on TikTok says, how do I deal with a manager who always allow my workmate to have leaves while she does not allow mine? I haven't experienced this in my life. I also haven't heard this question yet. But off the bat, if I see someone getting leaves approved and mine isn't, I'm not going to be silent. I'm going to be asking my manager off the bat. I'm going to invite again for a private meeting and ask, I'd like to understand why my leaves, first and foremost, by the way, even if someone else's leaves are already approved and mine aren't, I will still ask, even if someone else is approved. Because the fact that your leaves are not approved, it is a red flag. It might be because your manager does not trust you. It might be because your manager doesn't think that you earned the leave. And by the way, just want to remind everyone, in the Philippine labor law, if you have been in the company for 12 months at least, you are entitled for a minimum of 5 leave per week. Okay? 5 leave per year. By the way, also anything above the 5 days, let's say your company gives you 20 days of paid time off. It could be sick leave or vacation leave. That is already optional. That is out of the generosity of your company. And it is a privilege. It is not a right. I just want to highlight that to everyone. I want to remind everyone about that part. Okay. Now, Joseph, Mike, that's number one. What I would do, I would confront my manager and ask, why is it that my leaves are not granted? Okay. Number two, by the way, another side note, I have discovered that the plural of vacation leave is not vacation leaves. It's simply vacation leave. But I still want to say vacation leaves because I feel it's incomplete to not put an S. You get my point? Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. So that's one. Number two, sometimes managers do not approve your leave because they don't understand the reason behind it. And I know that it is unfair because I've made a video about this, that great managers are not supposed to ask your reason for filing a vacation leave. But if this is the culture of your company, sometimes you can't just fight through a brick wall. It's hard to fight the system. So sometimes you might want to bow down to it and explain why you critically need to file this vacation leave. Boss, I need to file this leave because it's my daughter's birthday. It's my mom's birthday. I had to file for a leave because I have to run for this specific bank errand, for example. And sometimes it's just a matter of explaining to the manager that this is very critical and that this is not a lot of time taken away from your critical projects as well. Okay? Now, if I'm going to make a conspiracy theory here, the reason why your teammate probably is getting their leaves approved and yours isn't is because your other colleague has been consistent with their performance. Meaning, your boss thinks that they can be trusted to leave and the job remains to be accomplished. Maybe you're still not stepping up to the plate. Maybe there's still something that you haven't shown to them, and they're concerned that if you suddenly take a vacation leave, the project can just explode. Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate with that? Yes? Okay. John Upenya is asking on LinkedIn, what can you say about counter offers after filing a resignation? John, I've answered this 1,000 of times. I hope you can scroll into my videos because I've made a lot of videos about this as well. Okay. Anna Balababa on Facebook has this question. I am a supervisor with 9 staff. They are all Gen Zs. Ooh. By the way, just to be specific, Generation Z means someone who is in 2023. That is around 20, 25, 24 years old and below. Okay? 16 to 18 years old, because earlier than that, that's what they call as the Generation Alpha also. Okay? Is it wrong if I treat them as friends? And I really mean very close friends that comes to the point that I feel disrespected. I think I am just guilty with too much familiarity that breeds contempt. How will I gain again their respect as their immediate supervisor? Okay, 2 things, Anna. Number 1, I do not think that you should be so close to your people even if you consider them as good friends. That's the limitation. You signed up for this. You just happen to be the manager. You have to set some boundaries. I am not saying that overnight you have to suddenly close your doors to them, but you have to create boundaries. Such as, for example, I think you should limit the number of times that you go out with them on a Friday night and go out drinking with them. Because the more you do these things with them, the more that they think that they can get away with a lot of mistakes. Meaning, if they get late with their submissions of projects, if they make mistake on their reports, they think, Anna's my friend anyway, might as well just keep on doing my mistakes because I know that I will always be forgiven for it. Okay? That's one. Number 2, I don't think you need to say this explicitly. If you do, I think it will only do more harm. I think you can do this gradually, inch by inch. So as I mentioned a while ago, start with, if you're going out with them on a Friday night, always try to minimize it by maybe every other Friday night. and then you graduate into once a month. And for sure, it's easy to make excuse, such as you need to be with your family, there's another impending project with the company, etc. That's one. You can also minimize now you're hanging out, let's say for lunch or for merienda. Again, I am not saying to do zero interaction because you will eventually still have a lot of these things. That's one. Number two, I think you need to be firm. Whenever you see someone in your team making a mistake, you have to hold them accountable. And when I say accountable, it's not because it's simply the wrong thing to do, it's because it's what's expected of us. Okay? So, one way to explain it without being awkward is to go back to the deliverables that someone promised to the company. Joanna, this is our annual performance plan, and we are expected to deliver this much. Okay? I think those conversations can happen without raising friendships, without raising relationships. Okay? And if you're really a damn good leader, you will be able to execute it without that awkwardness. Okay? So dahan-dahan lang. Para siyang, di ba, parang goldfish. When you transfer a goldfish into a new aquarium, as they say, you put it first in another plastic with water so that they get to acclimatize with the water. I think it works like that in this case. Can I just add also one thing? If you happen to be as young or almost same age as your direct reports, if you're not stepping up to the plate such that one of your team members is even better than you, glaringly, consistently, I think your leadership position is going to be challenged. Can I get an exclamation mark from our participants if you guys agree? Because at some point, if you're all of almost the same age and one of them is starting to be on the spotlight, a lot of your teammates are going to think, why is she the leader when someone else is better? So I want you to put into your radar your performance as well. You have to be up in your toes and always remember that you have to be technically the better one in the team. If you can't be good technically in all aspects of work, at least compensate through the behavioral part. What do I mean by behavioral? You're the most mature. You're the one who's able to manage conflicts and tension. You're the one who's able to speak confidently at work. Those things are not easily learned overnight. If you can prove to the rest of the team that you are way better than them for that, and you're willing to coach them and transfer those skills because it's also for their own good, then people will see you from a different light. They will see you as a coach and as a mentor, not just as a friend. I think that's a positive way to exert your authority. Rather than just overnight, you change your tone, you speak in a very less friendly manner, I think it's going to backfire on you. The more you assert your authority and credibility because you're an expert of your craft, the more people will professionally distance themselves away from you because they now respect you from a seniority point of view. Okay? Okay. Let's answer some more questions. Gerald, do you have any online trainings dedicated for leadership? Yes, you can go to our website, 𝗪cie𝗶𝗆𝗶.com, and we have a lot of online courses on leadership, public speaking, business writing. If you'd like to see us on site, in the flesh, we have an upcoming leadership workshop at the SMX Convention Center in Fort BGC, SM Aura, July 28th morning. Again, you can go to our website, johnyabuth.com, for details. And you can see the outline. The ticket is $1,299 for 3 hours. Okay, more questions, please. Okay. Cello Gina on YouTube. YouTube You guys aren't as loud, but you guys have a good question today. Okay, Cello Gina says, how do you handle a very bossy teammate? And when I say bossy teammate, likely these are teammates wherein they try to check on your work. They try to nitpick on your output, even if you did not solicit for their own advice. They try to push and shove their deliverables to you. So I'll give you an example, Cello. If I have a teammate who's nitpicking, an example of this would be you're in front of your laptop and they're suddenly hovering at your back and they're trying to, this one's wrong. this one, they will not like this. They're trying to nitpick on everything that you do to make you feel inferior because they happen to be superior. When someone says that to me, I will simply tell them, yeah, thanks for your input, but I think I'll go with this one. If I need any help, I'll let you know later on. Right? This is a graceful way of appreciating their feedback if ever they really meant it. But it's also a graceful way of letting them, put some space between you and this other person because you just don't need them. Another example, if you have a colleague who's asking you to do things that is not supposed to be under your work scope, meaning they're sneakily asking you to do their own job. And this girl, I wish I can name this girl because I still hate this person, but I can't. I'm not gonna make this big mess online. But I remember telling this to this girl when I was still working in this telecommunications company. When she asked me to do her own job, she thought I wasn't aware of it, but I was fully aware that she was passing her job to me. So I told her, okay, does our boss know about this? Because I want him to be aware of my project list so that when he asks about my deliverables, I can tell him that I was doing this other project that you told me to do. And when I told that to her, she just backed out and she said, oh, no, it's okay. I don't think you need to do it. I'll just manage this on our own. Why? Because she is aware that when I tell this to our manager, without making it look like nagsusumbong ako, but simply telling them that my manager needs visibility with my workplate, she knows that she will be discovered for her wrongdoings. So you need to fight back. You need to speak up and you need to know how to say no to these people. Okay? Cello, one of the better ways also is try to find ways to minimize interaction with this person as much as you can. Or if you really need to interact with this person because you are teammates, try to interact with other people in the same room. Can I get an exclamation mark? In the same room. Why is that important? When this bully and this bossy teammate knows that there are other witnesses in the same room, in the same meeting, they try to behave better. Agree? So for example, there's a meeting, you're eating at the canteen, try to get an ally who's always going to be there with you every time they are just around the corner. Because they're going to behave better. They know that they cannot have other people seeing what they are doing. Parang mean games naman tong pinag-uusapan natin. But yeah, they do happen, unfortunately. And that's how you manage the politics of work. Okay? Let's answer a question on TikTok. 𝗧cie on TikTok says, I just can't. Even if I love my job, I just can't exist with people that I don't like. I'd rather quit. Okay. I'm going to give an opposite response to this. And 𝗧cie, this is me because I want to share this out of care of how you think about it. While I do agree that one of the easiest ways to get out of the problem is to quit because you can always say it's for your mental health, I also want you to consider that sometimes difficult people in our lives are going to be normal parts of our lives. They're just going to be there and we cannot control them. They're going to come in, they're going to get out. And so if life is going to be like this anyway and you cannot avoid them, my suggestion is as early and as young as you are, try to be exposed as you can with these people so that your tolerance and your threshold also gets higher. And if you're gunning for success, if you're gunning for a promotion, and that's my assumption here, if you're gunning for the ability to become a leader in the future, I think that your tolerance and your threshold for difficult people should be stretched and should be pushed as you go along. You will not be able to push that if you keep on avoiding these people. Because I'm going to tell this to you now, they are everywhere. Life becomes exciting because of them. Life can also be sadder and complicated because of them. But that's just how life is. There are going to be people who will be mess in our lives. So rather than avoiding them every time that they happen, and I'm going to tell this to you, there are going to be moments wherein you will not be able to do things on your own. You will be needing to ask for help. And sometimes even the people that you ask for help will not be present for you. Sometimes you will be forced to do things on your own. Will you be able to manage that person if you are left alone? I think you should be able to increase your threshold and patience for these folks. Okay? Okay, someone's asking, do you need to fight with people that you don't like face to face or just go with the flow? I don't mean violent fights. I mean confrontation. And I mean heart to heart, one on one talk with someone. I've done this many times in my career. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. And this is why I often tell people, when you try to get a piece of advice, do not always apply with a blanket policy. It will some of them will work, some of them will not. I'll give you an example. I'm going to say this for the first time. It's not as controversial, but I didn't like talking about this all the time. When I was with AirAsia, and I remember on my first 6 months working with Mr. Tony Fernandez, Tony installed another marketing head in our department. I was the marketing head, and I was wondering why this other person was also installed as the marketing head. So I got confused. And now my people were wondering, who do we follow? Do we follow this person or do we follow Jonathan? And that really disengaged me. If you were following me way back in 2014, after I won the show, probably none of you have known about this because I was just quiet about this. But deep inside, I was so struggling with the structure that uh, the company did. So one day, I had to be brave, and I confronted this person, and I said, I'd like to know what exactly is your role in the company, because as much as I understand that you are contributing value, it's hurting me in the sense that I am not able to perform my role to the fullest. So I'd like to know, can we divide our roles? Can I do this and you do this instead? But can I also request that we do X, Y, and Z? My regret was that it took me 3 months to say that. Why? I was new in the company. I thought that if I would confront immediately, people might think that I'm a villain. You know, uh, people don't know this. And again, I'm not saying this all the time. When I entered AirAsia, I didn't think that a lot of people liked me. And the reason for that is because people thought that I entered the company just because I won a show. A lot of people didn't even know that I was already in marketing for the 10 years of my life. A lot of them thought that I was this 24-year-old fresh graduate from school that didn't know anything. So I had to explain to them that, hey, this is not my first job. It's my third job. I've been in a pharmaceutical industry based in London. I've been a telecommunications company. I hated the fact that I had to explain these things to people just because they judged me immediately, just because I came from a reality TV show. There, I said it now. I'm not proud of that moment. And so I had to confront this person because I felt that that was also how she thought of me. She felt that she was tutoring me. She felt that she was mentoring me. So I had to confront her and I had to tell her that this is what I do and this is what I'm good at. We got better after that, but I don't think we got to a point that we really gelled well. The good thing was that after 6 months, I told that to Tony, and Tony brought back me again to Kuala Lumpur to handle a different project because every 6 months, every 3 months, I was doing a different project. But up until this day, that is one of my regrets. And that is, I wish that I spoke up easily and quickly. By the time that I've noticed it on the first month, I should have spoken already. I should not have prolonged that. So, my lesson that I'd like to share with you folks is, if you have an issue with someone, do not prolong it, right? Do not prolong it to the point that you will think that magically one day you will just wake up and the person will change their ways. They won't. A lot of them probably may not even know that you have issues with them. Why? They're just busy with their lives and they cannot second guess or be telepathic with your own actions. Okay? So speak up, confront. I know it's easier said than done because every one of us who are Asians watching this TikTok live or this Facebook live, we have this mindset to begin that I don't want to strike a conversation that might be at fault. I might burn bridges. You're gonna burn even bigger bridges if you prolong the pain and the situation. By the way, strike with balance, huh? I'm not saying you have to confront the person 2 days later or 5 days later. You have to understand the situation first. So, for example, every time I don't get along with someone, I first ask myself, is it me who has the problem or is it the person? I always say that. Sometimes the reason why you don't like a person is because you're unconsciously thinking that this person reminds you of another person you don't like. Some people don't know that they are reminding them of their ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Some people do not notice this because unconsciously the person reminds them of a traumatic experience that they had with another company. So sometimes your reasoning for not liking the person is not because the person is intrinsically a bad person. It's because you're associating them with something that is bad in your past. Can I get an exclamation mark if we can relate to that? So sometimes you have to look first into the mirror. That's why do not confront the person 2 days or 3 days. Perhaps give it a week, give it 2 weeks. If you have best friends in the company that you can confront, tell them your issue and say, ako lang ba to? Is it just me who's feeling this way? Or do you also think that Samantha or Miguel is like this to me? Sometimes you have to validate. And the reason for that is because we're always biased in favor of our own reputation. Okay? Okay, let's answer some more questions. Oh, Janelle Superanalysis on TikTok. Sabi nga ni Taylor Swift, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Pwede naman, di ba? Okay, let's answer some more questions. Oh, before that, can I give away prizes now to our participants? Can I get the letter P in the chat box if you're cool to get some prizes? I hope you guys are. I want to give away tickets to our upcoming workshop on June 24. It's a 1.5 motivational talk. I think if you guys have issues with your careers, please come because the talk is about career management, managing stress and anxiety as well. Happening on June 24, Saturday, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we will let you go after that so you can enjoy the rest of BGC at SMX Convention Center, Aura, in in Fort BGC, Taguig. The talk is everything will be all right. My cute dog is going to have his cameo. I'm proud of my boy. He's going to be there. And the ticket is only worth $499. But for today, let me give away 5 free tickets to our participants. All you need to do is to answer our question. It's a trivia question. And if you get it right, we will call your name. Riri Rurach is asking, do you have a podcast? Yes, please catch us on Spotify. Type my name, Jonathan Yabut, or type the name of our podcast. The title is From Grit to Great. It's now on its season 2. We talk about career management as well. So, gladiators in suits, what topic do you guys want tonight? Science, history, sports? What do you guys want? Could you please type? I'm gonna let you decide. Kasi I've been deciding all these past few weeks. Song? Songs? Seryoso song? Um, okay. This one's easy. Let's talk about songs. And this is under the Guinness World Book of Records. Question: what is the most popularly sang song in the world? Such that almost every second or every minute, they say that someone is singing it. Okay? Alam nyo to, guys. You guys know this. Okay, I already got the correct answers. The correct answer is, it's the Happy Birthday song. Okay? Galing ah. Okay, let's My Way. Some people are typing My Way. Guys, don't be Philippine-centric ha. I'm talking about the rest of the world. Okay? So the correct answer is Happy Birthday. Let me call out 3 winners first on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. My winners are the following, ladies and gentlemen. The winners are Dennis Asse, congratulations, on Facebook. My second winner on YouTube is Christine Ong. Also, happy birthday. And finally, on LinkedIn, my winner, ladies and gentlemen, is... Meron pa sa LinkedIn na tamang sagot? Parang wala. Ayan. The winner on LinkedIn is Jamaica Luya. Congratulations for winning. Please send us a private message and we will send you instructions on how to claim your prize. Now, folks on TikTok, and thank you for your 7,300 likes so far. If you haven't yet given us a like, we will appreciate that. Please give us a heart, give us a like. That's the only thing that we will request from you so you can help us improve our algorithm. The winners, the three winners on TikTok are the following. Ang lalim, sorry, ng scrolling ko. Okay, the winners are... First one, John Paul Eli. Congratulations. Second winner is Motito the English Bulldog. Congratulations. I'm so concerned I might be reading something I'm not supposed to be saying in public. Third winner is Noah, N-O-W-A. Thank you. The correct answer is happy birthday. We hope to catch you on Saturday. Now, for all the winners, you are eligible to bring a +1 in the session, courtesy of SMX Convention Center. And also, please take note that if the ticket is not, if you cannot attend the session, you can transfer it instead to someone else. Chris Dejan says, Yesterday by the Beatles. Pwede naman. Remember, guys, if there's any going to be another popular song, it likely is not going to be an English song. Likely, it could be a Chinese song, a Mandarin song, because it's dependent on the population who's singing the song. Diba? Christine Ong says, I actually attended your leadership talk yesterday at SMX. Thank you for joining that session. I hope you learned. That was an amazing leadership workshop, by the way. In fact, our social media marketing workshop yesterday, kaya pagod na pagod ako because we have another workshop a while ago. We were so jam-packed down to the back part of the room of the SMX Convention Center. We filled it up. So thank you. Gina is asking, where can we buy the ticket? Please go to our website. That is jonathanyabut.com. I am also typing it now in the chat box so you can click to get your tickets instead. Okay? Let's do, I think we can do 5 more questions for tonight. Okay. Gladiators in suits, you can cut your question again and then type it because some of them might be buried already. Okay. I'm trying to look for a question that is not similar to others so we can have unique questions responded to. Okay. Gerald Madrid is asking this on Facebook. How do you best handle someone, for example, your boss, who doesn't back you up with your pushbacks to the client, meaning you want to say no to the client with valid technical arguments, and yet the boss would say yes? I can relate to this. I think I've had these moments before also. Obviously, the boss will keep on saying yes because they want to win the business. Agree? Can I get an exclamation mark? So always assume that they're going to be like that in their mindset. The reason why I think your boss is more confident to continue saying yes, even if you're already saying no, is because perhaps you know more than your boss does. And likely that's true. It's usually the staff who knows more about the business than the boss. You're the one who's seeing the customer. You're the one who's seeing the files. You're the one who's always on the field. Your manager does not have full visibility. So the reason why you're saying it's not possible is because you are aware, technically, based on the information, that it's not really possible. Your objective now, Gerald, is to transfer that knowledge to your boss, which means you have to spend time explaining properly to your boss. Boss, I know you're optimistic and it's good to be optimistic, but can I tell this to you? If we do this, it's going to get worse in the future. And here's the reason why it's not possible. Letter A, letter B, letter C. Gerald, don't just push back. Explain the reason behind the pushback. We often assume that because our boss is senior, we often think that they are already intelligent Therefore, they will understand the reasons why. But remember, bosses are also human beings. Sometimes they're just so busy that they don't know exactly what's happening in the business. That's your responsibility. Sometimes you have to be the one to share with them the info that they don't know, in the hopes that if they get enlightened, they will finally say, John, you were right. I kept on saying yes. I should have said no because of A, B, and C. Explain two things. Number one, why is it not feasible? And number two, if you say yes, what are the consequences? And sometimes it's the consequence that scares them and therefore makes them more conservative with their decisions. Okay? Okay. Can we invite you as a speaker in our company training? Of course. That's what we do for a living on a daily basis. You can get to our website, 𝗀𝗲𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. Okay. Oh, I like this question from Mika on TikTok. Is it worth to stay in my job if it has very good career exposure, even if I don't like the culture? Okay. It's a double-edged sword. I think that the culture in the long run significantly affects how you think and how you act because usually you borrow and you mimic. Kung pinalaki ka sa environment na to, over time, you will also ingrain that same culture. So if it's a very toxic culture, it might not be good for you because you will be able to inherit a lot of that culture. But you're also telling me here, Mika, that it has a very good career exposure. So my question is, what, how, how do I say this? How tough is your skin such that even if you are witnessing bad and morally wrong practices in your company or culture, even if you see them, you have a thick skin that you know that you will not fall into the trap of believing that it's okay to do these things, such that you're gonna let that pass, but you will continue milking the career exposure. The only person who can answer that is you. Because here's where I need to remind you that it depends on your tolerance again. You're seeing people cursing other employees. You're seeing people in your company perhaps bribing other people. You're seeing other people in the company where in politics favor the friends of the owner or of a leader. If you have a thick skin, you know that even if you see it, you will not fall into that same situation. Okay? I'm not gonna name the company. Gosh, you guys are always I wish I can name the company, but I can't. But I have seen companies were in the middle of my project with them. And this company is amazing. This company is a multinational company. I will not name the industry. I've had a lot of workshops with them, but in the middle of my projects with them, I discovered that they were doing something very unethical. Obviously, the talk is about to happen a few weeks from then. And so I told to myself, I do not believe in that same activity. But I said, okay, I just can't back out. I'm going to continue this project with them, but I'm going to use and leverage it as an opportunity to find ways to influence them to realize that what they're doing is wrong. So what I did was that after the project ended, and I said to myself, I don't care if they're not going to get me anymore after this. That's fine with me. But I want to be able to sleep good at night knowing that I said my part. So after the project ended, I told them, Person X, when we were discussing X, Y, and Z, unfortunately, I was able to see one of your slides and I discovered that you guys are doing this. I just like to clarify if this is true, etc., etc. The person who I talked to simply said to me, John, I'm sorry, no comment, right? But we really had an amazing time with your project with us. And after that, I haven't heard anything from them afterwards. And that's fine with me. But at least I was able to, if someone tells you no comment, I think what they actually mean is, you caught us guilty, but I'm not going to say anything about this. So those are examples of having a thick skin, because you can't just simply quit or say, I'm going to let go of it just because you saw something wrong. Sometimes working with the system is a way for you to also influence the system. Yes. I think a good metaphor for this is how Doctor Strange. Remember Doctor Strange, the film? Can you remember what's the name of the role of Tilda? You know that part when she is the mentor of Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange found out that she was actually getting her power also from Dormammu, which defeats the purpose, because if you want to defeat Dormammu and yet you're getting your power from Dormammu, right? Then you're actually powerless. But she is in the hopes of, I'm going to borrow a little bit of power, but I'm going to use that to make myself even powerful organically so I can eventually defeat Dormammu himself. Does that make sense? Actually, I just remember that. That was 6 years ago. I wonder what happened to that company. Anyway, the Ancient One. Yes. Thank you, Neil Bernal. That's the name of the character. The mentor of Doctor Strange. Vincent Anakan on Facebook. How do you work with people who are not happy with your achievements? I shrug them off. That's not my problem. As Okay, there are two ways of managing this. Number one, are they affecting your performance to the point that them being unhappy makes you slower in your job? If that is the issue, then you have to confront this person. If the person is not doing anything bad about your project or your performance, I'm going to shrug it off. I got other things to do. I'm busy doing so well in my job. Don't let people rent space in your head if they're not paying the rent. Can I get an exclamation mark if you guys agree? Don't. Just don't. There's no space for these people. Now, if this person's really affecting your performance, that's when I will explain to them that, number one, what exactly is the issue that you have with me? What can I do to resolve it? And number three, if you can find a way for the person to be your ally by helping them reach the same achievement. This is my philosophy in life. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I was that guy who always thought, I don't care what happens to others. All I want is to be number one. I wrote that in my last book, and everything will be all right. In my early 20s, I was so competitive. I always wanted to become promoted in my job. That's it. Now I'm nearing my 40s. My philosophy instead is, if I get to the finish line, that's good. But if I get to the finish line with other people with me, that's even better. Because I think winning is better if you have other people winning with you. Agree? And that's how I would treat this other person who's not happy with my achievements. I'm going to ask them, is there something that I can do to help you also achieve what you want? Is this a matter of VLOOKUP on spreadsheets? I can help you with that. Is this a matter of being introduced to another person in the company? I can help you with that. And sometimes that's the breaking point to graduating from being enemies to becoming allies and eventually becoming friends. Okay, let's ask more questions. I think we can cover last three. How much more? Okay, this question is from TikTok from Senorito. How much more should I endure not to quit my current job just to save my mental health? Okay, off the bat, if you are going to be unemployed, please be cautious about just quitting abruptly, because I also think that your mental health is even going to get worse if your issue is going to be added with financial burden. Can I get an exclamation mark from the participants? Right? It might be a good thing, because sometimes when people think about their survival, their mental health issues go away, because now their focus is how to eat, how to survive. And then when they get through past that again, their mental health concerns become about relationships, recognition, etc. I don't want you to mix them up, because if you suddenly just quit, and I don't know how your state is, are you living alone? Are you with your family? Just be mindful that these things can complicate because they can have a snowball effect. That's one. Number two, I'm going to be a big advocate about this, and this is the reason why we're conducting this workshop on Saturday at the SMX Convention Center. Let's be more particular when we use the word mental health. Because I think in the time of COVID 19, a lot of people have been using the phrase mental health so loosely to the point that the value of what mental health is becoming it's becoming less. I'll give you an example. When people get stressed, they automatically assume that it is going to cause something so bad about their mental health. Agree? So it's like, you know, your project's deadline was moved from yesterday to today. People will automatically shout, "Oh no, my mental health." And I do agree that is connected to your mental health. But sometimes labeling it immediately as a mental health issue complicates the situation such that you start thinking that your mental health must be of a priority. The only way to solve it is to quit everything. Can I get an exclamation mark if you agree? When in fact, when something like this happens, you're not supposed to be raising the mental health card immediately. You're supposed to go through logic, survival tactics, etc. Such as, for example, stress is a survival reaction of the body. The body pumps in more oxygen when it gets more stressed because it's preparing your body for something that may be physical. Unfortunately, sometimes it's mental. So sometimes the solution is not just to immediately quit. The solution is, can I ask for help? And that's why sometimes when you get stressed, your oxytocin level goes up because it's signaling your body to ask for support, whether it's a hug or whether it's social support from a friend who needs to give you advice. Go for that route first. Seek for that help. Negotiate with the person. Ask if it can be returned to the real deadline before immediately saying, "Oh no, mental health, I'm gonna quit because it's good for my health." I don't think that's mental health. I think that is escapism. It's the belief that the only way to get through life is to keep on escaping everything you go through. Okay? Okay. Last two questions. I hope that's okay. Margaret Ann Racho. Okay, classic question, but I love this. How do you build credibility in your new company? My number one top of mind, build as many networks as you can. Build many allies, meaning try to befriend people who can connect you to other people, thereby connecting you to other people. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, you will always be judged in your first PowerPoint presentation. You will be judged in your first submission of a spreadsheet report. You will be judged while you're lining up at the canteen getting some food. And while people are sitting down, they're going to say, yeah, that's Anna. She's new in that department X. If you get as many friends as you can, you will gather as many information about the organization. Who are the people to talk to? Who are the people, for example, that you should mention X, Y, and Z? Where are the fire exits? Where is the best food? Where is the best place to park? And these are small irritations that if you can get past through them in your first 3 or 6 months, it's going to help you focus instead of the admin part to your real job. I focus on those things. Of course, the rest are basics, such as if everyone's sending 7 emails a day, I'll send 8. Okay? If everyone's going to the office at 10, I'll go at 9 or 8. And then you can gradually loosen up a few months later on. But first impressions are wrong, but first impressions do last. Okay? Okay, let's answer TikTok. I have a few questions here that have been repeatedly cut and paste. Let's answer this. Is opening up about mental health with your boss makes you not qualified for promotion? There are many ways to answer this. Technically speaking, in the labor code of the Philippines, no one should be denied of a job And I think that extends to a promotion. If it's an issue of mental health, that's discrimination from its own end. But also, number two, you have to be very discerning whether your condition is even a condition that needs to be shared with others. And that means before you even open up with others, you have to talk, if you can, with a professional who can explain to you how your condition is. And if it even is a reason for you not to be able to perform your job well. Remember, in the Mental Health Act of the Philippines, it states there that no one should be denied of an opportunity to work, even if they have a mental health concern, for as long as that condition does not become a barrier for them to get the job done. Okay? This is just me, but my concern sometimes is that if you keep on labeling yourself, the more it can worsen your situation. So do not label yourself just because you took a personality quiz. Do not label yourself just because you read something on TikTok. I would strongly encourage you, if you can, to seek professional help if you think you are bothered about it. Do not self-diagnose in the time of Google and Dr. Google doing that for you. I've been in that black hole. It's not a good thing. I came from pharma, and my biggest issue is because I was in pharma for 4 years, I got enough training to be able to read medical journals. And that wasn't a good thing because every time I have a bump or a lump on my skin, I immediately think it's cancer. That's my anxiety when it strikes. The same thing happens for people. The moment you start taking this quiz, oh, I'm like this and this and this, suddenly you think that you are an ADHD person. Maybe you're not. And that's because you have not been clinically diagnosed by a professional. You don't decide these things on your own. Okay? Now, question is, what if you are? Okay? What if you really have been diagnosed? Is this something that you have to tell to your boss? This is something that you have to tread with caution because every time you say this to anyone, obviously, it's going to change their perception about you. Even if I tell you that this is illegal to do, something that is illegal is different from what is being practiced in real life. And unfortunately, there will be companies who may discriminate you just because you revealed it to them. You also want to ask yourself, if I reveal this to my boss, what benefit do I get out of it anyway? Is it just the relief that I said it to them? Or is that benefit outweighed by any potential discrimination that I will regret later on? It will only force me to leave the company and look for another company that treats me right. Okay? How do you handle a credit grabber? We do have a TikTok video for that, so please check that out. It's also available in our YouTube and Facebook channels. Okay, let's answer a last question for the night. I hope that's okay with you guys. Okay, I like this one. Sherwin from Facebook. How will you correct a colleague in the middle of a project or in the middle of working on a certain project that it is for the better without giving him the feeling of discomfort working with? Sorry, Sherwin, can you please correct your sentence here? How would you correct a colleague in the middle of working on a certain project? Sherwin, sorry, your sentence doesn't make sense. Could you please write it again? Let me get back to that if I can manage it later on. Okay. Okay. This one I love. I love this question. Bernadette Galinato from Facebook. How do you ask your boss about their plans on your career growth without sounding entitled and ungrateful? Bernadette, can I correct something wrong about your question? Your question assumes that asking about your career growth means that you are entitled and ungrateful. I'm going to correct that. It is not. Why? It is the obligation of any organization to fulfill your career growth because you are a talent. Can I get an exclamation mark? If you could please echo that thought. If you're asking for improvement in your career progression, more training, recognition of what you have accomplished, you're not asking for something that is big. You're asking for something that is basic. Please take note of that. And you deserve it. If your company does not recognize that you deserve that career growth, it's a red flag. You're working for the wrong company. that does not value its talent development. Okay? I'm lucky because I've worked with companies wherein every year in our annual evaluation meeting, the core discussion is always about, John, you mentioned last year you want to get promoted. Here's how I think your performance is. Letter A, letter B, letter C. All of my bosses in all of my past companies, I'm lucky to say, without being prompted, they will say it and mention it during that meeting. And that's what great companies are made of. Now, of course, the point of this discussion is to say, what if your boss doesn't do that for you? Then you have to demand it. You have to ask for it. In your annual evaluation program, your discussion point, you can say it to your manager and say it in a way, for example, here's my verbatim. I will say something like, boss, I really enjoy being in this company. I enjoy contributing, and I'd like to understand what are the steps that can take for me to take on bigger projects so that I can contribute more. So the way you say it is out of curiosity, and number two, out of providing more value to the company, rather than making it sound like, I want to get promoted because I want a higher salary. I want to get promoted because I want a bigger table. Right? Those things are a given. But obviously, one of the most deserving reasons for wanting to get promoted is because you want to achieve more. This is supposed to be your spill to your manager. Okay? Here's the other catch. Don't only say this at the last month of the year. Most of us think we need to wait for the December or January appraisal. Not at all. I would recommend, if you can insert these moments in some conversations. Whenever I had business trips with my manager, those times when, and again, I might be saying this out of a place of privilege, but when I had those moments wherein I'm flying with my boss, we're at the airport, we have a 2-hour layover time. Sometimes when a discussion is about a certain project, I will be able to creatively insert the discussion and say, speaking of Project X, I was wondering if there is a way for me to take on a project lead position rather than just contributing boss. And the reason for that is because I really love this project. I love the people, and I think I want to prove to the company that I can do more beyond reporting. I think I can do more on the strategic part. So you need to have a level of, if I will say, the ability to make some small talk and insert those conversations gracefully. It's easier said than done, obviously. It's not something that you can just copy from the movies. It is something that you do because you've said it over and over again, you've made some mistakes in the past, and you've corrected your lines. Okay? Okay, guys, gladiators in suits. I have to leave now. I also gonna walk my dog. Tanji, come on, let's go. I hope to see you. Let me see if I can go online tomorrow. Obviously, I can't go on Saturday night, but I might go on Sunday morning for our live session again. Come here. Up. So, if I may ask, I am going to see you together with Tanjiro on Saturday. Please get your tickets. Sorry, Tanji. Please get your tickets on June 24 at the SMX Convention Center. You can go to our website, 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀.com. And you can also get our best-selling books available at National Bookstore, Lazada, or Shopee. And listen to our Spotify, our podcast. That's Grit to Great. Thank you. I hope to see you guys.